Welcome to the webinar, 4 Secrets to Substitute Teacher Recruiting. Really excited that you're joining us today for a discussion on what's become an increasingly significant challenge. How do we connect with current and prospective substitute teachers in the midst of a really severe shortage? We'll discuss several recruiting strategies that have worked for us here at Swing Education, and then we'll take any questions you have toward the end. Please feel free to submit questions via the Q&A function, the chat function on your webinar display, but we will save those till the end as far as answering them. Before I hand this over to Tracy Wada, who's the Director of Substitute Teacher Recruiting here at Swing Education, wanted to once again thank you for your attendance, and that's pretty much all I have. Tracy, take it away.
All right, well, thank you so much, Andy, and hello, everyone. It's so nice to meet you all, and I'm glad you're able to join this webinar. Hopefully, when we get through the presentation, you'll be able to take some, or if not all, of the different ideas back to your school, your districts, and to your teams, and implement some of them to help you with your recruiting. All right, so let's start off with, just one second. Let's start off with telling you a little bit about us. For those that aren't too familiar with Swing, we're an online platform that matches substitute teachers to local schools in need. And since we've launched in 2015, we've been able to fill over 150,000 teacher absences by working with 1,400 school partners. We've also recruited more than 5,000 substitute teachers, which we're super excited about, and they're a mix of certificated and classroom staff. We operate in 5 different states and including Washington, D.C., and are rapidly expanding. A little bit about me. I'm born and raised in the Bay Area, California native, with over 15 years of experience in museum, e-commerce, startups, and I think the most exciting part about my background that I get a lot of questions around is operating a taco truck with my family, so family owned and operated. More on that later if we do have some more time. But until then, let's get to it and let's get started. So the first thing is to optimize your website. We want to start there because that is something that is already owned and managed by your teams. The way to look at a website is to think of it as the window into your schools and districts, and it plays such an important role during the recruiting process. Some of the simple changes that I'll talk about can make a huge difference in driving more interest to your substitute teaching job postings. So you really want to make sure that your website is in good shape to increase, all the different types of traffics to your site, and reducing some additional advertising dollars that you may have to spend elsewhere. So here is the first tip. It is to mobile optimize your website. So what is mobile optimization? It's making sure that visitors who access your site from their mobile device, and in this example from your phone, have the experience that's designed for it. 63% of Swing applicants, we've been able to track that they are looking at our homepage, our job postings, our content, really from their phones. And so we want to make sure that we're designing a positive experience so that they can have a nice way to research and navigate us throughout the process. And the chances are, especially for your job seekers, they're probably doing the same thing, whether they're looking in depth about your school, your staff, the facilities, the location, the students, and so forth. Making sure your website is optimized and designed for mobile will also provide more, not just a better experience, but will hopefully increase more of the engagement and push them through the funnel in terms of applicating with in terms of submitting an application to your job postings. I've included a couple of examples just to give you an idea of a site that is not optimized and another site that is mobile optimized. So we have here on the left, you'll see that this example school actually is not mobile optimized. It is a direct replica of their desktop or their laptop experience in terms of the view. really tough to read, a lot of information. The way that this phone on this presentation is blown out doesn't even compare to how small it is in real life. And so, you know, it could make navigating your website, finding information, follow up, where to go to submit an application, pretty difficult to find and hard to navigate in terms of learning more about you guys. Another example for a mobile optimized site, I chose Ravenswood City School District. I thought that they did a fantastic job. You'll notice that the fonts are larger, they have drop-down menus, really easy to scroll, basically for, we call it thumb-stopping content, in terms of really understanding how folks work on their mobile devices. You'll see different assets, content, featured video, you know, easy to click on, social. So I thought that, you know, Ravenswood did a fantastic job on optimizing their website for mobile. The second thing to keep in mind is SEO. So what is SEO? SEO is search engine optimization, and to simply put, it's making sure your website or page gets ranked high or is listed first when people are searching. So for the example I have here, you have somebody, a job seeker looking for a substitute teacher position in San Mateo. And in this case, San Mateo Foster City Unified is listed first. So really, I thought that they did a great job. And part of the ways that they're able to get such a great ranking is also to include a really strong meta description. What is a meta description? It is the short summary that you'll find right underneath the title of your page. And it is to provide a quick summary or an overview with the intent, you know, you want folks to click onto your page. You want them to get to your website. And so having this short summary or content is really a driver or a hook to get them to take that next step. You definitely want more clicks onto your page itself because Google is a resource, you know, a search engine, and it wants to provide relevant, reliable, trusted content to its audiences and users. So the more you can rank your pages as being that reliable source, the higher you're going to be to rank on Google when people search. So one of the things that you should also keep in mind, though, is what kind of descriptions or what kind of copy would you put into your meta descriptions? My first tip is to make sure that you're writing for the user first. So in this case, San Mateo did a fantastic job to open it up as a question. You know, do you have a bachelor's degree in teaching, coaching, and other experiences working with students? They're really trying to create that engagement with that question, very targeted in terms of if you do have this experience, we definitely want you to click. And part of that is using action-oriented words in the line. So you'll see, consider becoming a substitute teacher for our district. Really, it's saying, you know, engaging them on things that they might be interested in terms of, I do have some experience working with students, and they're closing it up with, great, join our district, become part of our substitute community, substitute teacher community. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is even though that there is much more than, in terms of words and characters, we do want to limit it at less than 155 characters. The data shows that the shorter, the better. So the more concise and straightforward you can have your message, the better it'll perform. And if you're wondering how many characters is 155, the example I'm showing you right now is exactly 155 characters. So that is, you know, the very, again, quick summary of space you have. So let's see. The last tip in terms of things that you can do for your website is, you know, Swing has a live chat functionality. Live chat capabilities are expected to grow from 30% across the average right now. That means 30% of people that are going onto your website expect you to have that live chat functionality. It is just another way to get in contact and have open dialogue with your school or your district. The perks of having live chat include saving time by answering questions in real time and online, increasing applicants by boosting conversions on website, so for an average of 40% industry average. And for Swing, we saw double our conversions when we did turn those chat functionalities on. So that means we turn it on, we have the level of engagement, and chances are they're going to apply to one of our positions. It also allows for customer convenience, with 42% preferring live chat over email and social. Again, 30% of folks expect to see it. If you're thinking where it ranks, it still falls a little bit below by 1 or 2% below phone. So direct phone calls, live chat, email, and social is the order and how it ranks in terms of how visitors to the website want to get in touch with you. This is an important one, and one thing not to forget is that when you do have real-time and online dialogue, you'll be able to really pick up on any patterns or anything that would be a great opportunity to maybe update your job description, or seeing, you know, frequently asked questions, and really collecting feedback that'll help improve your process. You know, I am consistently working with our team that monitors the live chats in terms of, are there other things that we need to include in terms of our process or our requirements on our job descriptions that can help alleviate any of the confusion or, you know, the commonly asked questions that keep coming up. If live chat is incredibly new to you guys, don't even worry about it. You can get in touch with Zendesk that has a free trial. They have a great team to walk you through and to give you a demo in terms of how this might be a good fit. But again, it has been a very strong way for Swing to communicate, and we're really happy with having it on our website. So that brings us to secret number 2, and that is to utilize social media retargeting. I want to focus on social media retargeting mainly because that has been an incredible channel for us. But before we get to that point, what is retargeting for those that aren't too familiar with it? It is, you know, you start off with your visitor, they get to your website, you know, maybe they're coming there from a job listing you had on EdJoin or Indeed, and they don't apply. They don't move forward and they leave your website. What you're able to do with retargeting is to serve them ads after they leave with the intention to bring them back to your website. So kind of going full circle with your audiences. It's a way to, you know, quite simply, you're just following up with leads from your website and seeing whether or not, you know, there's any more opportunity to get folks through the funnel. And then, so now that you have a good idea of retargeting, we're also going to talk about Facebook, which, as I mentioned, I'm a huge fan of. And the reason why I'm a huge fan of it is it just has a lot of capabilities, a lot of variety of, you know, ways to share your story, experience, and your offerings in terms of why it would be really amazing to take a substitute teacher position at your school or your district. Tips for, you know, retargeting on Facebook is to make sure that your ads are, you know, on brand with strong messaging. In this case, I've included our example, which is a video. We intentionally used this video to retarget our audiences to make sure that they truly understood what Swing Education offers. And there's not just one way to do it, there needs to be many. So outside of the video, we also have images, we have quotes, we just have ongoing content throughout in terms of things that we're retargeting within this platform. And again, you know, because it's so sophisticated and the data is incredibly specific, you will be able to understand what your audiences are reacting to the most in terms of interest and engagement. You want to keep your content fun and engaging. You know, testimonials, team events, random facts. These are things that you don't need to do that are polished either. You know, iPhones, smartphones are incredibly updated with modern, just, you know, I think you will be able to put together really beautiful creative assets within your own phone in terms of the camera tech capabilities. One thing that I saw, or one idea that I thought was fun on the school side, was they started pushing out quarterly or monthly, you know, guided tours of their school, or putting that on a video. So they were giving a behind the scenes on what it was like to work at that school. And I thought that that was pretty fun and engaging to watch. Outside of just retargeting, there are other ways to think about audiences to your web, within this platform. You know, we talked about retargeting in terms of web traffic and activity, but you can also consider using Facebook, and I say Facebook, but it's also Facebook and Instagram for prospecting. You know, you can use lookalike audiences that the platform basically picks up patterns and demographics and interests and pushes it for prospecting lists. So really trying to target, you know, folks that are most likely to be interested in your substitute teaching position. And last is, you know, win back and remarketing. You can upload any previous applicant lists to target directly. You know, maybe you have a back to school campaign and you want to reach out to your audiences or your sub pool that was with you in the last school year. Maybe you want to reach out to them again. In addition to direct email and phone calls, this is another way to do that. You can upload your list. All right, so that wraps up secret number 2. On to secret number 3, and we're gonna explore some of the job boards. And when I say job boards, you can't say that without talking about Indeed, because of how incredibly amazing it is in terms of reach. It is the #1 job site. We are a huge fan. This is one of our stronger channels in terms of recruiting. Their system has just done an amazing job to aggregate all the job postings that are out there and also optimize all the job listings that are out there. I have a few of the features on the side, on the left side there. You can post for free. You can post for free, and you can also sponsor a post. So when you sponsor a post, you get the top 7 positions on the list and the last 3 positions on the list. And when you post for free, you get the inventory that's in between. So it is, again, you know, if you don't have a huge budget, you can always test it out with posting for free and monitoring it there based off of your location, your market, and your competitors. Additional features on Indeed that not a lot of people take advantage of is the easy apply button. You see that apply now. Some schools and districts have an extensive application process. So you have maybe a form that has 20+ questions on it. The easy apply is acting more like a lead generation or a registration form to be a follow-up for your teams. So if I'm looking for a position, I see this long-term substitute teacher for direct ed educational services. I click apply now. I only put in my basic information. So my name, my phone number, my email, and just a way for direct ed to come back and respond to me knowing that I'm interested in this particular position. Again, it's just an easy way, a quicker way to build your lead generation, or to increase your lead generation list. Another feature is the resume search. You know, once you hit a certain budget level, it varies by region, by location, by the relationship that you have with Indeed, but there is this functionality that does get released. And what it does is it's a way for you to directly reach out to applicants that have uploaded their resumes onto Indeed. On the left side of the panel, you'll see all these different filters, you know, based off of, you know, substitute teachers. I want to look for substitute teachers in Oakland, California. I want them within 25 miles and within, you know, the last 6 months that they've updated their application. So I want active folks that are looking for substitute teaching jobs. And you can also filter it out by specific job titles. The way that this works is you simply click those boxes and then you're able to send them a direct message. So it's another way to reach them in a much more intimate, way. The reporting and analytics is, oh, sorry, I skipped over company pages really quick. Company pages is also another feature that's included on Indeed, and it is, you can treat it as a microsite of your website. You know, so just another tool or a resource for job seekers to go to when they're doing their initial research. You know, before they click that apply now button, they want to know who you are, what you're about, what it's like to work there, what your process is. So this is another way to, again, include a lot more about what you're offering while they're on the platform itself. So that's something, I have Swing's education page on here, and that's as just an example. I mentioned before, reporting and analytics is awesome on Indeed. You know, you're able to really track activity, clicks, applies, costs per applicant, to monitor what works and what doesn't work. So we have a variety of different listings here, and you're able to just monitor it on a daily basis. So I thought that Indeed does a really great job with it. Indeed is not everything. You also want to explore local sites like EdJoin, SchoolSpring, and NJ School Jobs. But again, Indeed is #1, so it's a really great place to start. So when you do find the different platforms and the job boards that you are interested in, you want to make sure that you have a strong job description. You want to make sure that you're bringing a lot of interest to your website, and to obviously increase the number of applicants that you get. A couple of tips I've included. I thought Airbnb did a great job in terms of packaging the opportunity. They start off with a short and concise summary on the company and team's overview and purpose. They give hooks on what makes them unique. They list their responsibilities and expectations in terms of the role. And they close it out with desired qualities and qualifications. When you're thinking about length, I suggest 300 to 800 words that have performed the best. And really thinking about, you know, it's always an ongoing process in terms of what are the different types of information that you want to include on here to make it even more, you know, what is the incentive? What's the big driver? What's the hook to get them to go in to apply? So again, it's not just set it up once and never look at it again. It's set it up once, monitor the engagement with these ads, and then make your adjustments along the way. So that wraps up secret #3, and then we will close it out with secret #4. And this is about streamlining with programmatic ads. There's over 1,000 job boards available, and I would expect them to grow even more. That's a lot to manage, especially when you have a lot of positions to post, or if you are recruiting on an annual, quarterly basis. So here's something to consider to help streamline that, to make it easier and saving both time and resources, and that's with programmatic ads. So what's the difference? Traditional ads are managed by a person. They are purchased directly on each channel. For example, if I was working with a traditional ad, I'd go directly onto Monster, or I go directly onto Indeed and manage the budget and manage the performance directly on each platform. Versus programmatic, which is managed by a machine. So I'm using machines to buy ads. And in this case, we currently use ClickCast, and I can work with ClickCast to manage multiple job boards. So that is the beauty of the system of programmatic ads, meaning it's not so much just monitored on a day-to-day basis in terms of every single job board that I'm on. It's really trying to make it easier and more efficient with your time. Additional benefits that, of what we've experienced with AppCast and ClickCast is that it's easy to control and manage your budget. You can set up a cost per applicant, meaning that you control exactly what you pay for in terms of applies that you get. You have access to more job boards with one quick setup. You can serve more relevant ads based on demographics and contexts rather than inventory. The machine and algorithms do the learning so that you don't have to. And it's a great tool to have in your toolbox. So to sum it all up, big takeaways from this webinar is, with your website, you get more of your website with mobile optimization, SEO and live chat, social media. Use it to continue to tell your story through retargeting, job boards, leverage tools and features on job boards, but of course, make sure you're on Indeed, and programmatic so that you have one system to manage multiple job boards.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Tracy. That was super informative. So we have about 3 minutes left in the presentation. If you have to drop off, we totally understand. We will email you a recording so you don't miss anything, and you can also get access to the Q&A portion, which will begin now. I'd also say that you should feel free to email us resources@swingeducation.com. I will also put that address in the chat, as well as the email you'll receive after the presentation. We're happy to answer any follow-up questions about any of the content that was discussed during the presentation. So I'm not sure how much time we'll have for questions, but the one we have so far is about SEO, how to put the short description online. So how would one go about adding that field to their website?
Really great question. I actually had that slide in there and I removed it because I was wondering if we had enough time to cover it. So whatever your website is running on, there is an area for SEO that should be, at least at this day and age, your website should be on a platform that does have that feature or that call out so that you could manage it. I definitely contact your webmaster or whoever is managing your website to update that section and currently look at, what's listed there. So even if for your own district or for your own school, you can actually look up your own, you can look it up on search on Google and see what's currently there right now. But it should be part of the functionality on your current website.
Great. I think that is unfortunately all the time we have for today. Once again, thank you so much to everyone for attending. We really appreciate your participation. We hope that this was informative, that you learned a few new things about new ways to attract substitute teachers to your school or district. And like I said, we're happy to answer any follow-up or additional questions you have about the material discussed, or ways that we can support you more directly with your search for substitute teachers. So thank you once again. That will be the end of our broadcast. Have a great remainder of the week and a great Memorial Day weekend.